Hi, my name is Caitlin, and I want to make this video to kind of share my whole wellness journey. I've really, it's kind of been like this crazy, insane part of my life for basically like the past about 4 years now. And I kind of want to share with you like what all happened for me, what my journey looks like, and like where I started and how far I've come. So my journey started like it started in high school when I started facing a lot of hormonal imbalances and problems with my health, my cycle. I was gaining a lot of weight. And I went to a couple of doctors, and they just told me to take birth control and lose weight. So I went on birth control to try to control, like, kind of try to balance out my hormones. And instead, like, it just made everything worse. Like, I gained weight so much faster, even though I was exercising and dieting and following like all of their instructions. And my cycles like just got worse. So they upped my like up the dosage of like the birth control, and like tried different forms of different like types of the like hormone treatment. And again, like everything just got worse and worse, and it got to the point where like I had started having other health issues on top of it. I was like feeling very fatigued all the time. My immune system was shot. I was getting sick all the time. And I got to the point where like I graduated high school, moved away from home to go to college. I was going to school full time, working part time, and like renting out a room. And I was so sick that I was like collapsing from pain at work, and I couldn't make it to class. And so I had to quit my job, drop out of school, and move back home just to take care of my health. And at that point, like I'd seen like a whole bunch of different doctors, and again, they all kept telling me like the same thing. And just take birth control and lose weight. Take birth control, lose weight. Take birth control, lose weight. I was like, this isn't working. And they were like, well, there's nothing else that we can do for you. Like, that's, like, there's no cure. There's just, these are how we manage the symptoms. But they weren't even managing the symptoms. And it got to the point at there was like one period of time that I was 19 years old and on 13 different prescription medications at once, and still sick, and still in pain, and still like uncontrollable hormones and uncontrollable weight gain. And they were like, well, this must all be in your head, because there's no reason why you should still be in pain. And so like around that time, my husband and I were preparing to get married, and part of my religious beliefs is that we don't use birth control in the context of marriage. And so I went to my doctors. I'm like, okay, I have to get off the birth control for religious reasons because I'm getting married. And they were like, well, there's nothing else we can do for you. That's the only solution. So I decided at that point that I was just gonna ditch everything, take a more natural approach. And I started looking into like fertility diets and exercise. I was trying to like lose weight and get my hormones balanced like with my diet, so that I could be healthy and potentially have children in the future. Well, about 6 months after we got married, I got pregnant, and at about 8 weeks I miscarried. And then I had like a few months later had another miscarriage, and I've had a grand total of like 3 miscarriages. And I went to the fertility clinic at that point because they had told me that they would be able, if I was having fertility issues, then they could look at other treatment options for me other than birth control. So I went in and said, hey, I've been trying to get pregnant for about a year. I've had all these miscarriages, and I'm still having like all these irregular cycles. So at that point, they actually looked at me, because before I had gone to in total, like through like this whole story, 14 doctors, including 5 specialists, and the specialists wouldn't touch me because they were afraid, because of my age, that they were afraid that they were going to like mess up my chances of fertility for forever. So they wouldn't even help me. They wouldn't even look at me. So at that, like, fast forward to where I was with like the fertility clinic. I go in and they do an ultrasound to figure out like what's going on down there, and then that's when I got diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And normally, to be diagnosed as a severe case of polycystic ovarian syndrome, they like a severe case is considered like 8 to 12 cysts. I had the lost count after 23 cysts on my left ovary and 26 cysts on my right ovary. And my right ovary was twice the size of my left. So then I officially got the PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome diagnosis, and they were like, okay, let's try this hormonal treatment so that you can get pregnant, because if you get pregnant and maintain a pregnancy, then it will kind of like reset your hormones, and then you'll be okay. So I'm like, all right, well, we want to have kids anyway, might as well give it a go. I did the treatment, did one round of the treatment, because my body just like completely rejected it. I was on just like basically roid rage. Like everything agitated me. I was like sweating, and like I just felt so tense and so angry, and I actually like envisioned like hurting people around me, because like that's just where I was at mentally. Not that I meant that in my heart, but just like that's where I was, like on a chemical, like brain chemistry level. I wanted to hurt everyone around me because that's how agitated I was. So I went back to the doctor and I was like, this isn't working. Like, we have to try something else, because like this, like I had this reaction. They're like, well, feeling agitated and stuff like that is normal, and we're not going to pursue any other treatment until we narrow this one out. I'm like, that doesn't count? And they're like, no, like we want you to try it for at least 6 months. I'm like, I'm not doing 6 months of thinking that I'm going to kill everyone around me. So I went back to like ditching the doctors, ditching all the medication, and just trying to take a natural approach. And at that point, I had went back to the changes in my diet, and I was trying to exercise. And then I heard about like some herbal like supplements and some essential oils. So I went to the store, and I actually like got a friend gave me a couple oils too. I went to the store and got like a few more from Sprouts. So I was using like oils from Sprouts and Whole Foods, and I think I had like 2 doTERRA blends as well. And so I was using these essential oils, but they were not doing anything. They weren't helping me at all. And so I was like, well, this isn't working. I smell good, which is nice, but this is not helping me. So I went into this, like, I just fell into this like really dark and deep depression, because here I was, barely 20 years old, like sick to the point where I would like spend half my day sleeping and the other half like so anxious and just having panic attack after panic attack that I would just spend hours pacing around my apartment, walking in circles. Like chunks of time were missing because I was just like so worked up, and like all I could do was walk around, reorganize, clean, like all this like anxious, nervous energy just panicking on the inside. And I would just be doing all these things that would exhaust me even further and make me even more sick and put me in even more pain, just waiting for my husband to get home and talk me down. And even though he would like he'd be able to talk me down, calm me down, like would make me sit and rest, on the inside I was still just like just like going crazy. So I like that was like it was like half overwhelming anxiety and half just depression, just straight up depression, like to the point where like I'm a woman of faith. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe that there is so much to be gained from seeking a relationship with God and talking to God and asking him for help. But I was talking to him. I was praying so hard. I'm like, why? What is happening? Like, why aren't you here? Why aren't you listening? Like, I felt so alone, even when there were people around me, just so alone. And I got to the point where like I didn't want to live anymore, because I'm like, what kind of life is this? Where I'm here 20 years old and I can't even go out and celebrate my friend's birthday because it's too much. I couldn't even go and like socialize, go like have a cup of coffee without having to go take like a 5-hour nap. Like my adrenal system was shot, my immune system was shot, and I was just mentally and physically drained. And I remember just like it went past the point of pain. I wasn't even in pain anymore. I was just numb, like physically and emotionally numb. And I remember sitting there on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall, just like pleading to God, saying, God, please, if there is anything to help me, like send it my way, because I'm ready to give up. I can't do this anymore. I can't. And after that, it was just numb. I stopped talking to him. I was like, there's no point. I'm done. I'm too tired. I can't go on. And at that point, the last thing I did was call my mom, and I was like, Mom, here's what's going on. Like, I got anxiety. I'm panicking all the time. I can't shake this depression. And at that point, like tears just start streaming. So I'm like, here's all of it. Here's where I'm at. And she was like, I've actually been doing a lot of research about natural stuff to help you, because I've known that something's up, and I was waiting for you to talk to me about it. But I really want you to try these essential oils. And I was like, Mom, I've already tried essential oils and they didn't work. They didn't work for me. They smelled good, but I was still in pain. I'm still having all these problems, and they didn't even help me calm down. They smelled good. And for 5 minutes I was calm because I was just sniffing oils. But as soon as I put them away, back to anxiety. And she was like, no, Caitlin, these oils are the best of the best, and all those other oils, they're super low quality, and these ones are I honestly believe these ones are gonna help you. And I'm like, I'm not spending $160 on something that's probably not gonna work. And I remember her telling me if they don't work, I'll pay for them. But she sat there and she broke down the cost of everything and explained to me about this company. And she was like, this starter kit, you get over $300 worth of stuff for $160. And if it doesn't work, I will pay for it. But I really feel like it's gonna help you. And as soon as you get your kit, fire up the diffuser, put lavender in it. And I just kind of when she said that if it didn't work she was gonna pay for it, I kind of went into it with this mentality of fine. I was it was all the sass in the world, I'll tell you that. I'm not proud of this, but I was I may have agreed with my mother and been respectful in my actions of listening to her advice and trying it, but my attitude was not. I was just I'm gonna prove her wrong. I was all right, fine. You're lost because you're gonna pay for it because it's not gonna work. So I'm fine, I do it, I sign up for it. It was Young Living, and the thing that kind of got me basically what my mom told me that kind of pushed me over the edge was their seed to seal guarantee. It's all 100% pure, therapeutic grade, toxin free, and no fillers, no synthetics, all of that. I'm okay, fine, whatever. So a week after I placed my order, my kit arrives, and I call my mom and I tell her, hey Mom, I got my kit. And she was like, put lavender in it, fire up the diffuser. And I'm all right. So I did it, and she was like, all right, now I want you to just sit there and smell the oils. Just sit there and breathe them in. I'm okay, Mom. So I got off the phone with her, and I just sat there, and before, the max that I could sit still was 20 minutes tops. If my husband can attest to this, I could not sit still for more than 20 minutes. I would start to feel anxious, and I would have to start walking around, doing something, washing dishes, reorganizing, putting on something to just keep my hands busy, to kind of give a distraction. And I remember sitting there, I got the kit early, or late morning, early afternoon, somewhere around there, and I just sat on the couch just breathing in this lavender for hours. And my husband came home, he walked in, he saw me sitting, and he's like, what's going on? It was weird to him to see me just sitting there relaxing, because that's what my normal was. My normal was frantic all the time, even every day, hour of every day. And so he saw me just sitting there just chilling, and he was like, what are you doing? I'm oh, I'm sitting here. I'm relaxing. And he's like, it smells good in here. And he saw the diffuser. He's like, oh, you got your oils? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know. Like, maybe, just maybe there's something to them because I've been sitting here for 4 hours. But I'm also very tired from pacing around all morning, so it could go either way. And he's like, well, like, maybe they're working. I'm like, maybe. I don't know. So I told my mom, like, hey, like, I was actually able to relax. And she's like, good. She's like, tonight, I want you to put lavender and Stress Away and Copaiba in the diffuser and put it right next to your bed. And I was like, okay. Because, like, the reason why she told me to do that is I had not slept through the night in months. Like, I was going off average like 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. I would have the hardest time falling asleep. I would wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and not be able to go back to sleep until like 6 a.m. or like I wouldn't sleep at all, like just total insomnia. And I was like, whatever, Mom. Like, I was kind of like, maybe it'll help, but like, maybe it'll help me fall asleep faster, but I doubt I'm gonna actually stay asleep because like I wake up in the middle of the night every single night. That's been my routine for months now, like almost a year. And I followed her advice out of respect for her, not because I really believed what she was saying, but I put the lavender and the Copaiba and the Stress Away and the diffuser, put it next to my bed, fired it up, and laid down. And I don't remember falling asleep, but I didn't wake up until 9 a.m. the next morning. For the first time in months, I like actually got a full night of sleep. And I was like, all right, maybe, just maybe, there is something to these oils. So at that point, my main focus was the emotional support because I was struggling so much with like those like nervous, anxious feelings and the feelings of depression. So I really needed that emotional support. So that's what kind of got me started. So I started using the oils that I had in my kit to kind of like support like feelings of like, you know, happiness and like an uplifted mood, and like lemon and peppermint, and just kind of like give my body like that boost. And then at night I was making sure that I was using like the Stress Away and the lavender, just to kind of like regulate my sleeping schedule, because like that's like a huge thing, like for dealing with like emotions and stress and all of that. Like you got to make sure you're sleeping. So that's how it kind of got started. But then like as I noticed these changes, I noticed that like I wasn't battling with my depression so much. I wasn't having as many panic attacks, and I was actually sleeping through the night. I was like, okay, all right, let's look more into this. So at that point, I started like ditching and switching, and I started like using some of like the household products that Young Living has to offer, like all their Thieves line, like their hand soap, their laundry soap, their dish soap, because I found out that all of these household items of mine contained toxins that were interfering with my immune system, my reproductive system, my hormone balance, all of that. So I started like switching to like a toxin-free lifestyle, and then I like did some more research about like the supplements and other products that Young Living has to offer, and started getting like hormonal support and like support for my thyroid, because by then I had gotten the diagnosis of Hashimoto's hypothyroidism as well, and I like just started using all these supplements and oils to give my body that support that it so desperately needed. And I hadn't been to the doctor. Like I went to the doctor and I forgot that part, but I went to the doctor and got the Hashimoto's hypothyroidism diagnosis like right as I started using Young Living. Like it was another one of my mom's recommendations that I followed, and she told me that I could make these like certain dietary changes and use herbal supplements, and she gave me the go ahead to incorporate some like support from Young Living as well. She was like, you can give it a go, you can try it. So I was doing all these things, but I hadn't been to the doctor since, like that was the last time I went to the doctor, and that it's July 2018, and I just that was like a year and a half ago that I last went to the doctor. And because of some things that are happening with my family, I had to go to get a physical. We're becoming foster parents, and so part of that, we had to go to get a physical and do all that. So I went to the doctor for the first time in over a year, and of course they're going through my medical history, and they ask about any conditions I have, and so I have to tell them the Hashimoto's and the PCOS, and they're like, oh, so you're on this medication, this medication, and this medication, right? I'm like, nope, I'm not on any of that. And they're like, oh, what are you doing then? And so I didn't tell my doctor about the all the support I'd got from Young Living, because I didn't want her to dismiss it or dismiss any of my concerns, thinking I was it was all in my head, or that I was just some weird hippie, because of the experiences I had had with past doctors, dismissing everything I was saying when I was saying I was I'm on all these medications but I'm still in pain. So I didn't tell her all that at first. But I did tell her about my exercise changes and my dietary changes and all my weight loss, because in the past year I've lost about 100 pounds. And that goes back to balancing my hormones, taking care of my thyroid, ditching all the toxins, getting enough sleep and all that. And so I told her about that, and she's like, oh, she's like, I'm really glad that you found a natural approach to it, but I'm still very worried about your hormone levels, and so I want to do a full panel and an ultrasound to see where you're at. And then I told her at that point, I'm like, well, I'm also using Young Living to support my thyroid, support my hormones, and to support my immune system, because Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disorder. And so she was like, okay, I've heard of people doing that. I still want to do, I'm glad that you are feeling relief from that, but I still want to do a full workup. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I was kind of curious to see where I was at anyways, to see if Young Living had actually made a difference. And she had said too that my doctor had said this wasn't the naturopath, this was a modern medicine practicing doctor that my husband's insurance paid for. This wasn't this is not a natural approach at all. I just needed someone to get a physical so that I could move on with the foster approval process. And she was super skeptical, that she was really worried that I was going to have at least a few things that were still wrong. So we did the blood work, we did the ultrasound, and then I called her to get my results, and she was like, I am impressed. She's like, I thought for sure that at least your vitamin D was going to be deficient. She's like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because every single one of the tests that they ran came back textbook perfect range, right, the numbers right where it's supposed to be. And she was like, and you did all of this naturally? I'm like, yeah. She's like, keep doing it, it's working. And I was like, well, what about my ultrasound? And she was looking over the results, and she's like, so your ovaries are about the same size, they're equal, they're balanced. And she's like, they made note of a few enlarged follicles, but they aren't big enough to be considered cysts. And I was like, so no cysts? And she's like, yeah, no cysts. And I was like, at all? She's like, none whatsoever. And I'm like, what? She's like, I know. She was excited too. She's like, if we didn't know that you had Hashimoto's and PCOS, we would not know that you had Hashimoto's and PCOS. She's like, without that pre-existing diagnosis, we would say there's nothing wrong. And with that pre-existing diagnosis, all I have to say is this looks like extremely well-controlled PCOS. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because it's working. And so that was just I remember I burst into tears at that moment. And I'm probably gonna cry. I am just so thankful that my prayer a year and a half ago for God to send something that was going to help me was answered. Because right after that prayer, I didn't even think about it at the time, but right after that prayer, that's when my mom was like, get Young Living. And the past year and a half of getting all the toxins out of my house, and giving my body that support that it needs and everything like that, just it's made all the difference. Like, it's not a cure, it's not some magical remedy for everything, but I do honestly believe that it is a huge testament to like the quality that Young Living has to offer, and the wellness, abundance, and freedom that they really do provide for their members with the support that their products offer. Like, I am just blown away that I was able to, to give my body that support that it needed to heal itself using all natural stuff, eating a clean diet and using all toxin-free, like, plant-based products and like supplements, and of course the essential oils. And like, I can say, like, without a doubt in my mind that Young Living not only changed my life but saved my life. And like, that is a huge blessing. And all I want now is for everyone else in my life, and for all the people that, like, everyone I care about and everyone that they care about, to experience the same like wellness, abundance, and freedom that I have experienced. Because like I said, it's changed my life, saved my life. Like, my mind's blown away. Like, I'm completely blown away by the quality and quality of Young Living, and like blown away that like it's all science-based too. Like, and I think faith and science can definitely go hand in hand, but like, I'm just like, wow, this stuff, like God put Young Living into my life for a reason. And I honestly believe that 100%. Believe it in my heart. I thank him for the gift of Young Living every day. And I really, really want to share that gift with everyone around me. So that's why I'm making this video. That's why I want to share my story. And if you would like to get started on a wellness journey as well, like, please, like, reach out to me, or like whoever like that's like told you about Young Living, or like look into it for yourself. Like, do the research, find out if it's something that like you want to do for yourself. But if it is, like, please give it a chance. Please, like, allow that blessing into your life, because like, I really honestly believe from the depths of my heart that this was a God-given gift for me and my family. So yeah, thank you for letting me share that with you. Thank you for letting me like share my story and tell you all about it. And thank you.